What's up, Cougs? My name is Ben.
My name is Jay.
And welcome back to another CCR where we are going to be talking about Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
We're back!
Woo! So first we are going to start off with our rating. Jay, what's your rating?
Honestly, this movie was so good. I'm going to give it a solid 9 out of 10. I thought the acting was great. I thought the storyline was really engaging. I love all the action scenes. I love the overall just message of the story. The soundtrack was, it was fantastic. It was amazing. I could listen to it all day. And I love all the subtle references that it made to the games.
I would say 10 out of 10, but the critic in me would say solid 9 out of 10 because I love the acting, I love the action, and surprisingly enough, the emotional beats in this movie were so much better than the first two movies. Even though the first two movies had some solid emotional beats, I think my only problem with it is that the beginning was kind of rushed because everything after the prison break scene and before Sonic and the gang meets Shadow, they just rushed it and they just went off in the helicopter with no talk with Tom and Maddie. So,
I mean, it just sort of happened, you know. You already have the beginning scene building up Shadow and showing him off as this badass hedgehog that's kicking ass and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden we're cutting over to Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles celebrating Sonic's arrival on Earth, and it's a really short, brief moment where it's it's everyone bonding together, and it's setting up the message. It's you gotta be a leader. Do things that you don't want to do at times. I only gave the movie a 9 out of 10 because I thought some of the dialogue was kind of cheesy, but I get it. It's a kid's movie, so of course they're gonna have some cheesy dialogue. The one line that keeps popping up in my head, and I said it earlier before we started filming, but it was Konichi what?
No.
It was
no.
Why would you do that? Why?
I'm not doing that, no.
I didn't know why I thought it was so funny at first. Over time, I'm okay, that was actually kind of cringy, but also it's so fitting for Sonic because he's just this little guy, you know, he's so influenced by pop culture, so of course he's gonna make some sort of cringy reference, you know.
He's slightly different in here than the games. He's more of a kid in the movies. This is the trilogy of the Sonic movies have more been about Sonic growing up and becoming more of a hero over time. So I think it fits him well for what they're trying to go for, and yeah.
So what would you say would be your favorite scene of the movie?
My favorite scene. Oh.
There's a lot to choose.
There's a lot to choose. Oh my god. God damn. Shut the up. So my favorite scene. Okay, so the scene on the moon where Sonic and Shadow were finally bonding and getting a heart to heart, and then the dap up, Super Sonic and Shadow, and then you got Live and Learn playing in the background. Oh, it's fucking geeking out!
I think he liked that scene, but that's just me though. But that's a valid scene to enjoy. My favorite scene, honestly, was the very beginning scene when Shadow first broke out of Prison Islands. I don't know, the build up to it was perfect. You had the lighting, you had the guards that they were talking about donuts or something like that, and they were just sitting there oh, he's only been there for 50 years. He's never gonna go out. And then all of a sudden, he's starting to shake in the chamber and stuff like that.
And it's the flashbacks of him and Maria running from the gun soldiers.
Yeah, and it gets more and more intense, and eventually it stops. And they're oh, nothing's gonna happen. Everything's fine. Boom, you know?
Just breaks through glass and starts beating up all the gun soldiers. And I gotta talk about this too. Junkie XL.
Oh yeah.
He did so much better in this movie. One of the main things that I wanted from this movie that I hope improves from the other two movies is the music. I hope they included references from the games. Live and Learn was a big one, and I was surprised by how much he used it in this movie.
Oh yeah.
Shadow's theme was the theme of Live and Learn. It was like dun 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 dun.
Da-da-da-da-da. You know, it's constantly played throughout the movie just to remind you, like, hey,
And it's like
this is where he came from. You know.
And they also use it in different tones as well. It's either like dramatic, like sad, or like epic. And obviously, like my favorite, it was obviously like when Super Sonic and Super Shadow were powering up together. But it was also amazing during like their fight with all the gun robots. They were, it was more orchestrated. Like, I guess they didn't use the lyrics that much because of copyright issues. Like, the main singer is like suing Sega right now. I don't know what's going on.
Pay him when he's like, oh, you know, he is a great god ascending from the heavens with that soundtrack. Okay.
But I like it. I like how I was like, but you can hardly
swallow.
And then it was just like an orchestrated version like of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So moving on, how would you say this accurately depicted the lore of the Sonic franchise?
Okay, so obviously, if you all know Sonic, and the games, the movie's lore is like very different from the game lore.
Yeah.
Like, even though like it gives like the personalities down, they changed quite a bit of things. The movie is based off of this game, Sonic Adventure 2. They did a couple things different. Like, there was also like some like predictions that I know they were gonna be different. I talked about this with you like a couple of months back.
A couple of months? Dang.
Yeah.
Anyways.
For one, that the Space Colony arc was not going to be in the movie because, like, from the trailers, it shows that Shadow and Maria were on the planet Earth, and
yeah, they're in the military base.
And usually and in the game, they are in this little space colony called Ark, and I guess they didn't want to use it, but the Eclipse Cannon was in the movie. And one thing that they changed that's definitely significant is that Gerald
Robotnik in the video game, or at least in Adventure 2, he died on, well, not on the Ark, but like he died in prison. He was executed for doing all these experiments on the Ark, where his granddaughter Maria was killed. In the movie, though, he survived because he had one of Shadow's quills. And for those who have watched the first two movies, Eggman, the one played by Jim Carrey, they're both played by Jim Carrey.
Whatever.
So Eggman had a quill. He wanted Sonic's quills because it had a lot of power and he could utilize it to basically do whatever he wants.
It's like unlimited power.
It's unlimited power. So Gerald had the same, Gerald had the same idea with Shadows, and anytime he like brings it up to his tongue or his lip or something like that, he gets like a shock. And apparently it was enough for him to survive for 50 years. So I guess in the movie lore, he's like 100.
They didn't really explain
They don't
it.
really explicitly say how old he is, but he's like...
No, he said, no, he did say that looking pretty good for 110.
110, yes. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how he's
dude, I don't know how this...
And how does he move that well, too?
Yeah, remember that one scene when they're like with the lasers and stuff like that?
Just dancing and galvanized.
Yeah, it's like, this is a 110-year-old man, like, picking up someone else.
Well, we gotta remember, it's Jim Carrey also.
That's Jim Carrey, who came out of retirement for this movie, by the way. This dude
and apparently
is a legend.
He might come out of retirement too for the fourth movie, which is like, how are they gonna do that?
Oh, speaking of the fourth movie, I guess we can talk about, before we actually
I actually want to talk more about Gerald.
Oh, okay.
So one thing they also changed was, so in the games, Gerald creates Shadow.
Yeah.
But this time, Shadow comes from like a meteor from outer space, and they call him the ultimate life form. And so,
the ultimate life form, like it's a really cool name. It's accurate to the video games, but I believe, yeah, it was not originally Shadow's name. It was the Biolizard's name. It was known as the ultimate life form, which was the prototype.
Biolizard's not in this.
Biolizard's not in the movie.
Well,
thank God.
He made a slight cameo, but...
Slight cameo.
Gerald is also a major gaslighter. He's like the biggest gaslighter I've ever seen in the film.
Yeah, he basically gaslights Eggman
to thinking that he actually loves
Yeah,
him.
he actually loves him, and then like once they get to like the end on the Eclipse canon,
When he reveals that they're all gonna die.
Eggman's like, wait, I thought you loved me, like, and he's like, oh, Gerald is like, you're no Maria. My family's dead, and it's like, oh, you see these two bond
And
over
like,
the course of the entire movie, and then he just drops that, and it's just like, oh.
And then you see Eggman. He was always like so heartbroken from that.
He just looks defeated.
Yeah. So this is also the first time in like any like Sonic media. I think I haven't read all the comics, so where like Gerald and Ivo are actually interacting with each other.
Yeah, they this is actually the first time in a while.
Yeah,
Because
so-
usually it's always Ivo Robotnik, Eggman. He's always reading up on what his grandfather used to do. But as you just said right now, it's the first time where these two are genuinely working together and interacting with each other, and it's something that's never been explored in the video games before. Well, there was Gerald's appearance in Shadow Generations, but also like Eggman wasn't really there.
Yeah.
But still, it's an
But
interesting
this
take.
also Shadow Generations was before he became a genocidal maniac.
Oh, that's true.
He was more wholesome in Shadow Generations than ever before.
See, you get two sides, okay? You get the wholesome side that's like really nice, and it's like, dang, I feel bad for him. And then you remember that he set up a cannon to murder everyone because they killed his granddaughter.
So
Oops.
one thing is that obviously cannot be changed from like it's like Shadow's canon event is Maria dying.
Yeah.
So that's what drives him to be more like evil, but he's not. I wouldn't call him a villain.
I'd say he's like an anti-hero.
Yeah, or like he becomes a villain until he's not.
I mean, they killed Maria this like differently because in the video game she was shot in the back, but now this time she died in an explosion.
So, what are comparisons that we can make? Oh my God! So one plot line from Sonic Adventure 2 was that they mistake Sonic for Shadow.
Yes.
I was so glad they got rid of that because I always thought that was stupid. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, it's not because like they're like Shadow himself like has like a different design.
I mean, my way of thinking of it is that in the video games, they don't want the public to know about Shadow, so they say it's Sonic to like throw like suspicion off of Shadow, so they they can secretly capture him, stuff like that. But I guess movies they didn't want to deal with all that stuff, so they just outright put like wanted sign for Shadow, at least on the news and stuff like that. So
What's another difference in the game? BioLizard.
oh yeah, BioLizard's not there.
I feel like it was probably a safe option because of like.
Oh, the Chow Garden. I guess that's a comparison. The Chow Garden was like, in the video games, they're just like, the Chows are like little creatures that you take care of. They're like Tamagotchis.
I never really got into the Child Garden.
Tamagotchis. Oh my god. Those little virtual pets and stuff like that. Now it's just like, they're an attraction in Tokyo. But yeah. Anyways, what did you think of the teaser for the next movie?
Metal Sonic was definitely hype, and it got me thinking which one they were going to go for. Either Sonic CD or Sonic Heroes. And honestly, I want them to go with Sonic Heroes because I actually want to see Metal Overlord in the movie.
I mean, Metal Overlord is cool. I love Heroes, but also like, I want my CD, bro. I actually like CD. I don't understand why people hate it.
Not a good game. Not a good game.
But yeah, when I first saw that scene with my brother, I have no shame in saying this. We both screamed. We were jumping out of our seats. I spilled popcorn. My dad wasn't happy. But we were really excited, you know. You get this build-up of all these Metal Sonics just like appearing and stuff like that. They're about to kill Sonic, and then boom, you get like a pink ball and hammer. And it's like, she pulls the hood back. It's like, what? What are you doing here? How did you get here?
I was expecting that, to be honest. I was expecting that,
Well,
but
I
honestly-
wasn't.
Okay. I'm gonna be honest. About Amy, I don't really give a fuck about her. I just never really cared for her in the games. There are better characters in my opinion.
Nah.
Better female characters in my opinion.
I mean, there's some really cool female characters, but Amy the OG, okay, she's the real one. I loved her. She's amazing. I love her character arc
I
throughout all
like
the
Blaze
games.
better.
You know,
I like Blaze better.
I want Blaze in Sonic 5. If they ever make a Sonic 5,
I hope
want
they
her.
don't go for
Just like,
06
here's the
storyline.
thing, okay? I would love there to be another sequel, but also I gotta recognize, like, you can only go for so long, you know? I mean, look at Fast and Furious. Those movies have been going on for so long. I thought it was street racing. Why are we going into space and robbing banks and stuff like that? But that's a topic for another time. I guess to like start wrap things up, how would you rank all the movies? Like, what would you say?
This trilogy has gotten better and better the more it's gone on. The first movie, I thought it was good, not really great. There are some good moments in there, and surprisingly enough, I actually do like the human characters. Yeah, whatever. You can come after me. I don't give a shit.
I care. Yeah. Anyways.
Settle down, man. But it was more of a road trip movie than like a typical Sonic movie. But I thought it was like a safe option because like if you just like introduce all these characters, because like the Sonic lore is not like Mario lore, where it's just like, well, Mario doesn't even have lore.
Yeah, it's just a prince.
It's so complicated, and I think like it was a safe option, like not introducing like all the characters in one movie, and I do like the establishment as a family dynamic.
Yeah.
And but the second movie was better. I actually thought it was great. I love Knuckles and I love Tails too. I think it was definitely a better accurate representation of the games. And like, but that wedding scene was so ridiculous and so stupid. Like, it took like most of the runtime. They should like cut it short. And I really like the final battle too. Yeah. But yeah, the thing that I also think about is how like, so like the first two movies, they're kiddie, right? But they're also mature in some aspects. This movie was mature in like a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Like it deals with like the stages of grief, like the anger of like someone's death, and like wanting revenge, and like which is like gets so dark for like a kid's movie.
It shows the audience how far someone's willing to go in order to enact revenge, and I feel like that tone is actually appropriate for like the characters and stuff like that, because in the video game Shadow has a pretty dark past, so to be able to capture that in the film, I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, I also like what they did with like establishing like the Maria and Shadow dynamic. It shows that like Maria is like the only thing that like Shadow is like
Really caring for it.
yeah,
you know?
and like
It's like a contrast between Sonic and Shadow. You know, Sonic has all these people that he like cares about. All these people care about him. He has someone to fall back on. With Shadow, he had someone, and then that was taken away from him. And I think they even like do like a little cut in the beginning of the movie where they have like Sonic at like the campfire, and then Shadow's like walking through the streets of Kyoto.
yeah.
Shibuya. Some shit.
Maria, I also like how Maria like didn't see Shadow as a monster or a freak at all. In fact, she was like playing around with him. It was like Shadow was like confused, and then his like heart started to grow warm to her, and like I thought that was very sweet, and it actually shows like the emotional impact of her death later we see in the movie, and like why Shadow was feeling this way. So
It's like at that point you really sympathize with Shadow. Like you understand like why he's willing to do all this stuff. As much as like it can be crazy, he's doing this because he wants to avenge his friend. So when it comes to my personal ratings, my least favorite, well, I guess can I include the TV show? Can I? Please?
yes, we can add a TV show.
My least favorite is Knuckles because it's not Knuckles, it's the Wade Whipple show. Anyways.
It's my least favorite as well.
Then I'd probably say the first movie, not because it was bad or anything. I thought it was a pretty good movie, but again, as you were talking about earlier, it's more so of like, just like an introduction. It's more so like a kiddie road trip film, you know, you're going from Green Hills, Montana to San Francisco or something like that. And it just showcases that like, oh, look at Sonic, he's not used to Earth. He's not really super responsible, you know, he's kind of getting into trouble, all that stuff.
But also we get like 90s Jim Carrey in like his prime too.
Exactly. So, and then second is Sonic 2. They really stepped up the story. I loved the interactions between Sonic and Tails. It's like this big brother, little brother dynamic. Knuckles as a character is really cool. I loved it. Loved the final battle scene with Super Sonic. Loved the soundtrack. Jim Carrey, again, was amazing. All those subtle references and stuff like that. It was great. And then, if it's not obvious enough, my favorite Sonic 3, because it's near perfection, okay? Just tweak the beginning so it's not super rushed and fix some of that cringy dialogue, and like that's like the perfect movie.
Yeah. One thing I noticed is like the more movies that we got, the more Jim Carrey becomes more like robotic.
Oh, absolutely.
And not like the actual voice actor right now, because the voice actor right now is being accused of being racist piece of shit. But
yeah, he's interesting. Anyways, any final thoughts?
I do want to talk about like the dynamic between Robotnik and Gerald, because like both was played by Jim Carrey.
Yes.
And like
they even talk about it in the movie. It's almost as if we're played by the same actor.
It's like that was a good fourth wall break. But like the way how they play off how Jim Carrey plays off himself was actually was so much better than I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah. Because typically when you have like actors playing two characters at the same time and they're interacting on the same like screen, you usually have it's pretty obvious when one person's supposed to be talking, one person's not supposed to be talking, and they don't really interact that much. But with Jim Carrey, I feel like he's managing to balance out the two, and he's getting paid double for that.
Yeah,
like,
no,
come on.
he has to.
Come on.
I'm also so glad they didn't go with when they were on screen together. I'm so glad they didn't go with some horrible AI CGI looking effects. I really hate that, especially Cobra Kai recently.
Oh,
Miyagi was ugly as hell. I'm so glad they didn't go that route. And what they did instead was, so this is what they did. They filmed one day. They filmed one scene with Jim Carrey as Ivo Robotnik, and then the next day with like another stunt double as Gerald. And then the next day they filmed that same scene with Jim Carrey as Gerald Robotnik, with another stunt double as Ivo Robotnik.
no.
So yeah, that was obviously a smart decision, and it also shows that I really respect Jeff Fowler as a director, and like shows that like
I mean, he's been part of the series for a hot minute. I mean, he worked on the cutscenes for Shadow the Hedgehog, so he already had a vision of
don't play Shadow the
movie.
Hedgehog,
it's
please.
Not that bad.
Don't play it. It's a terrible game.
It's not that bad.
It's horrible.
It's not that bad, but yeah, it comes to show that Jeff Fowler really has a respect for the franchise, and he showed it justice in these films. And I can only hope that I really hope I don't regret saying this. I can only hope that Sonic 4 is just as good, if not better, than the other.
Yeah, I want to touch on that real quick. I'm not saying any of the future movies are gonna be bad by any means. Like, I actually have a lot of faith in the movies in the future. I think the third movie is gonna be where they peak, unfortunately.
Aw.
But it's because it's gonna be hard for them to
Top that.
Yeah, the story and how emotional this was, and I think I also want to touch on this. I think this movie also shows that you don't need a whole lot of video game references to make a good video game movie. I'm looking at you, Five Nights at Freddy's, and Mario. I love the Mario movie.
You didn't like Five Nights at Freddy's?
No, that shit was ass.
I didn't. Okay.
Okay, so now we're going to go over our predictions for the fourth movie. How would you start?
Well. If I had to think of my predictions, I think they're gonna address. Please don't hurt me when I say this. I see the smirk on your face. I'm scared.
I feel like it's something about CD.
They're gonna make a reference to CD at one point, and they're also gonna address the Sonic and Amy ship. At some point, they're gonna address it. I also feel like they're gonna emphasize Metal's creation, and maybe go back. Maybe it's gonna like go to a flashback between like 2 and 3 of Eggman making Metal Sonic. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like I'm like how because like in the games.
Yeah, in the games, Eggman. Ivo Robotnik, he was responsible for creating Metal Sonic, and the movie, at least like the teaser for the 4th movie, it's not really explained where Metal Sonic comes from. He kind of just pops up. So
it's like looked like one of those like you know in Terminator where like the Terminators come from the future, they just like pop up.
Yeah.
It looks exactly like that. And so I'm guessing like what they're gonna do is because they also like released some concept art for 3 where they were gonna show that the future of Eggman taking over the world and Metal Sonic was gonna be by his side. So, I guess they're gonna save that for the 4th movie. Also, one of my predictions is that if Jim Carrey comes back as Eggman, or comes back in any way. My guess for how he comes is like the explanation for how he survives is that at the end we see that Shadow survives.
Yeah.
From the explosion, which
somehow, which is a
my guess is that he teleports from inside the Ark and saves Eggman like at the last moment, and then just teleports him back to Earth. Because like remember, he still has that super stuff. Because also, what would happen to the Master Emerald, the Chaos Emeralds?
Oh, that's a good point. What happened?
Yeah, it's because like if so, because they'll be like sucked into the explosion too.
So would they technically like be back on Earth at this point? Would they be out in space? It's not really explained what happened to the Chaos Emeralds.
Well, we also see at the end that Shadow's inhibitor ring was like a meteor toward the Earth, so that's probably the same way for Chaos Emeralds.
So it's probably going to be similar to how it was in
Unleash?
Unleash, yes.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, where they're just spread out and like they go on a worldwide adventure, adventure, yeah! But I think, I'm calling this right now, if they decide to go for a 5th movie. Speaking of the future.
No.
They're gonna make a Silver reference. I'm sorry. They're gonna have a Sonic Shadow team up. Like they're gonna have Shadow be gone for most of the movie. He's gonna pop in. Sonic's gonna be like down and out. Amy's somewhere. Tails and Knuckles, they're captured. They're gonna have Shadow pop in. Okay, they're gonna fight, and then the teaser's gonna show Silver coming in from the future, be like, "I gotta save the future," because he's basically the future Trunks of Sonic.
Okay,
I know.
I'm gonna say this right now.
Okay.
If they're gonna do that, they better change 06's story because I do not want to see
What story?
Princess Elise.
It's not canon.
Oh yeah, I got erased. But still, I don't want to see that. All right.
But overall, I'm really hyped for Sonic 4.
Also,
I can't believe I'm actually saying that, considering the actual Sonic 4 game is hot garbage. But
this is
I'm
nothing
excited
like that.
for Sonic 4.
This is nothing like that. What are you talking about? Okay. So, also what I would like to see in future movies is chaos. I would like to see chaos.
Chaos! Yeah. Do you want to see like the different forms of chaos, or just like Chaos Zero and then Perfect Chaos? Because in Adventure, he had a lot of different forms. Like he had some forms that like only.
I think they should like keep like only like 1 or 2 forms before between Chaos Zero and Perfect Chaos. So, yeah. But how is Shadow? How do you think Shadow's gonna fit into the 4th movie?
Well, as I said earlier, he's gonna be gone for most of the film. People are gonna think, "Oh, Shadow's dead. He couldn't have possibly survived the explosion." And then next thing you know, he's gonna pop up at the very end and be like, "Guess what? I'm alive. I'm back." But if I'm right, that's it. But thank you guys for listening to our little yap session on Sonic 3. We hope you have an amazing day, whatever time you're watching this.
Please go watch the movie.
Thank you for watching Coog Cinema Reviews. We have plenty more coming soon. Who knows what's going to be next? I don't know.
I'm Ben.
I'm Jay. We'll see you guys next time.
Go Cougs.